this earth plane, I try and take off, but both of my wings when I'm flying break off. And if I make it to the sky, I stay lost in the clouds, as if my compass stays off and down. I got a lot of days lost in this time space, cause I'm a ways off, but the sky is no limit, and neither is the atmosphere. I ain't trapped in here with the gases, my ride isn't finished. I fly to infinity with divinity live and replenished. In this illusion and trapped in here without clues in this atmosphere, it's confusing without a map or an atlas here. And as usual, my path ain't clear, but he's cruising at them high altitudes, refueling as needed. At top speed, I keep moving, slowly ascending. So he has entered a place where you never fly low, but you in it. Inside my ancient temple, at a time when I know my mind state is gentle, designing lines that'll paint these mental masterpieces that are vast and deepness. Inside my temple that's ancient, the simple I'm vacant, but the principles base. Where space and time is non-existent, I don't waste no time trying to find that entrance in an instant. If it's distant, I'm persistent. I just take a second and split it in half, quick in a flash. I'm through the time rift in the dash, and the trip was a fast one, just like my last one. My flights are frequent, my light years are free on nights and weekends, cause Mars ain't reaching the style that deepens the spot that he's in. Not just breathing, I'm quantum leaping over top of these men every time I'm speaking. Up to Shangri-La, where I hang with gods, where my language flies on wings at an angel size, singing with the same replies. How the aim is high, from the earth plane to rise, from grunge straight to Nirvana. As of late, I'm honored as a greatest John. I sit inside my ancient temple at a time when I know my mind state is gentle, designing lines that'll paint these mental masterpieces that are vast and deepness. Inside my temple that's ancient, the simple are vacant, but the principles base. I was born on that planet, informed in Atlantis, before it had vanished from the face of the earth. They laid waste and vacated my turf. Since space is the place of my birth, I levitate over earth with a grace that's amazing, like they play in the church. My proportions are biblical when saying a verse, forcing individuals to pray that I'm cursed with just a portion of the written. I display a reverse, the hatred of this sacred patron placed in this matrix, chasing his matron trinity in the vicinity of divinity with Neo, and he know it'll be either him or me. I think we better ask the oracle, but any questions that I ask are rhetorical, metaphorical. Am I not the one? Ask Morpheus, he'll say of course he is, cause the force is his. Skywalker walks the walk I talk, over on the other side of the dark I walk. Inside my ancient temple at a time when I know my mind state is gentle, designing lines that'll paint these mental masterpieces that are vast and deepness. Inside my temple that's ancient, the simple are vacant, but the principles
that's what it is. That's what it is. Easy does it. 2011. Granny Records still here.
All right. Back up in here. Welcome to another week of Free Thinkers. Nikki, what's going on? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Oh, man. I hear you. You just sound real muffled, like you're not plugged all the way. Like maybe your earbuds or something is not plugged all the way in. That's what it sounds like. I don't know what it is.
No, you know what? I just got somebody pulled up to the house to pick up an order. Let me run downstairs and go deliver this cherry cobbler really quickly. You can hear me now? All right, I'll be right back. I got to go get this cherry cobbler to the order. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. Handle your business. So, happy Thanksgiving week, good people. Another week of Free Thinkers. Make sure while the music was playing, I was sharing. And I'm just putting it out there. So you make sure you do the same if you're listening. Keep in mind, this is an open forum. So as much as I love everyone who comments and gives input and responds and likes and shares and joins the page and joins our YouTube page, come on. and just get in on the conversation. You can get in on the conversation. You can double dutch it, meaning you can just sit by and watch until you feel that you have something to say. There are several times that we would actually go, like when we were in the live meetings, and some people would come in and they drink their, coffee or energy drink, and they would maybe not say anything for the whole session, but they just wanted to come in and listen. So if you're one of those people who feel uncomfortable speaking, just come in, listen, come in, just, feel free to give your input, or not, as much or as little as you want to. And we'll be happy to have you. And, we respect your words, and we also respect your silence as well. But what I don't see, and this is what I get sometimes, this is why I had to keep pushing it. I have learned over time that a lot of people get intimidated by listening to us have conversations. People start to feel like you have to be a professional conversationalist to be in on the topic, or to be in the group or the chat, and you don't. All we doing is just talking off the top, talking what we feel, talking what we think, talking our opinion. That's it. So this is not, you ain't got to be a professional talker. You don't have to, none of that. Just feel free, feel comfortable. We just want you to have a good time. So make sure you get in. If you are watching, make sure you leave us a comment. Tell us your name, where you're watching from, because I know we have people watching all over the country and even internationally. We have people watching from outside of the country. We have several free thinkers, so all of that appreciated. Like Nikki would tell you, make sure when you get on, you have something to put in your ears. Make sure you're in a space where it's quiet. Also, make sure you're in a space where you're comfortable with the information that's going to go out, because this will be adult content. Probably adult language as well. So just keep in mind your surroundings and who you want to listen to it. But outside of that, we wanted to give you, I think this is going to be a condensed version of Free Thinkers, because Nikki's in her baking mode right now. So we don't want to hold her up too long. We did have a topic we said we were going to talk about. So on the topic, I've been talking about, I was going to do this for a while now. And this is, trust me, this is only going to be like one installment. This will be ongoing, trust me, because it's so much that I have to say and so much that I add.
I've been thinking about this.
That there's no way in the world I'd have enough to do in just one session. This is going to be ongoing. I'll let you know now. So, back in the day, Nas and Lauryn Hill had a song, If I Ruled the World. What would you do if you ruled the world? I'm not even going to world status. Wyclef Jean had a song, which I didn't like, but he had a song, If I Was President, I'd be elected on, Monday, assassinated on Tuesday, some. I didn't really care for the song, but the whole idea is around, if you were president, how would you respond? What would you put in? And listen, let me say it like this. This ain't saying if you were God. This ain't like God Almighty or Bruce Almighty or something like that.
He's the
like
president, not God.
Snap your finger and change. You were president. Like, what laws would you change? What would you put in place? What vetoes? What would you do to change the direction of our society within the power of not overstepping free will, but just what would you do in our society from a law and a systemic approach? What would you do to change things the way you see fit? So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. What's going on, Nikki? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm catching my breath. I had to run downstairs real quick, give Sheldon his cherry cobbler. Shout out. Appreciate the support, Sheldon. He literally knocks on the door at like 8:12. And I was like, shit. I was like, I'm on live. So I ran downstairs, shoved the cherry cobbler out the door. So I appreciate you, Sheldon. And I appreciate all the support. Thank you for mentioning that. Things are good. And so as I've been thinking about this topic since last week, I sat down at the table today and I was just like thinking about what would I do if I was president? What would I change? What, would there be anything different? Because I feel like you've been thinking about this for a while. So you already have some ideas of some stuff that you would definitely want to change. And I've never I don't think, played with the concept even.
About the concept.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even think I've played with the concept of what would I do differently or how would I do differently if I was president? Because I've never that was never something it was never a thought, right? So I did make a little list, and of course I forgot it downstairs. But I think the first thing, you want me to tell you what the first thing I think I would change?
Then you need to, did you get it? Did you get it?
I mean, I can run downstairs and go get it too, but I mean,
right now, how many would you say you have?
I think it's maybe like
you
5, 6, 7
say,
things.
How many do you have right now? I'm trying to see how many.
Like maybe 5 or 6, 7.
Okay.
5, 6, 7.
Yeah, run down and get it. I want to.
All right.
Run off the first couple.
Right. I'll be right back. Okay, so the first one, you want me to tell you now? You want me to go get the list?
Sure.
I feel like
tell me the first one now. Yeah.
First one is.
It's
mothers.
Probably a lag. I'm sure it's a lag.
I feel like it is. I don't know if it's me or if it's you, but last time I thought it was you. It ended up being me when I did the replay. So I don't know who it is, but I feel like it's lag.
It's been me for the last couple weeks. That's why I even took off my background screens. I'm trying to take off anything that's gonna suck up my my band. I don't know. I'm just trying stuff at this point now. So
right. Okay, so I'm gonna run downstairs. I'm gonna get the list. The first thing that I thought of was mothers should be able to stay home and raise their children and get paid to do so. I'll be right back. Hold on, let me go get the list.
Ooh. Okay. Oh, hold on. So she said, I misquote this. Mothers should be able to stay home and raise their children and get paid for it. So I'm wondering, I'm gonna have to ask when she gets back. I'm wondering, does she mean like an alternative? So I mean, one could put out there like the portion that is funded to schools to have your child. That's why the school system want to make sure that your child is in school so much. Johnny,
so they can indoctrinate and lie to them.
They don't care about well-being. They don't care about Johnny's well-being. They care about attendance affects their funding overall. So if they don't get the right amount of attendance that they're supposed to do, then it will affect their funding next year. Yes.
Damn. Okay, you're talking to me now. Shit. I learned the other day that I don't know where this was. It was somewhere here in the country. I don't know if it's like a national thing or if it was just like a Texas thing or a Louisiana thing. So I don't remember what state this report derived out of. But it said that basically the state's penitentiaries are built off of like 3rd grade reading and math test scores. So they know, like by 3rd grade, depending on your test scores, they know about like what size of prison population they need to fucking prepare for based on those 3rd grade elementary test scores. Man, when I read that, I mean, and I've subscribed to the, prison school to prison pipeline for a very long time. That doesn't mean that I don't think that there are not good teachers and educators and adults in those buildings, because there are. And we are grateful for the ones that we know do the job, right? But I hate those fucking buildings. I hate those buildings. I hate what they stand for. They're not these places that I think those of us my age and older had this relationship with school and the education system and having those good core teachers back in the day. But to know that like so much money and emphasis is pumped into these testing metrics and making these kids be able to take these tests to do well on these fucking tests that equal dollars, to then think that by third grade, if you haven't figured out your reading and your math by third grade, a third grade kid level, that's how early they can go back and look at the correlation between basically what kind of educational lane that kid is going to stay in, socioeconomically, economically, whatever the case may be, that the propensity of that kid then becoming an adult offender that would require a bed in a penitentiary blew my fucking mind. I don't know why that's so surprising to me, because I know how the school to prison pipeline works, but that really fucked with my head. I was really surprised to know that was a correlation. So I would love to be able to stay home and get paid to homeschool and raise my children.
So you saying, and that's what I was wondering, like, so like the funding that would go to the school, that would go to the teachers, for people who decide to keep their children at home, you would get that portion and you would get paid for homeschooling.
I mean, just like there's tax breaks and tax credits for all kinds of other things. Obviously, the issue here is that if and that's why they discourage homeschooling, because if you can't have funding as a, you have to put your kids in a public school system if you want it to be easy, right? If you want it to go the easy natural route, you put them in a public school system. So right. I don't think that they would, because there is already the argument happening between private schools, charter schools, and public schools, that private schools should not receive any public school funding money. So I can't imagine a public school wanting to give some of its funding to mothers who are deciding to stay home and educate their children, which honestly I feel like is the proper way, right? I think the kids need to be home because they want that money. There's no incentive for them. If you was
president.
Well then, okay, yeah, right. If I created the rules, this is how it goes. I don't know where the money would come from. I just know that women need to stay home to raise their children. Women should not have to.
This is what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's just it. Women get paid to stay home to raise their babies. Period.
Listen. But hold on, Nikki. That, when you say I don't know where the money goes, that part is easy. If we get our ass out of these other countries and meddling in unnecessary wars and where we're occupying certain territory, like we're places that we don't need to be. That in itself easily can fund whatever it is that you're looking for. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars a year dealing with war type stuff, or being in other countries, or occupying territories, and whatever in the name of freedom. If we did away with that, then the money is there, or the money can be reallocated very easily. Now, okay, you got another one you want to? You got another one you want to throw in there?
I do. Let's see. There would not be a two-party system for sure. I don't know what the political party. I don't even know what a political party would look like, or if there would even be a variety of parties. But it damn sure would not be a one or the other system. That's for sure.
So how would you break up that system?
See, so this is what I don't know, right? As I'm thinking about all these things that I would want to change, that would imply that the systems that are already in place would either one, need to change, or two, not exist.
Right.
So I don't know how to fucking undo something that is already immaculately designed to run the way that it does. Like, you would literally have to dismantle everything for me to be president and do shit the way I want to do it, because I don't know. I don't know how you undo that.
I got it. I think I know a way that could work, and I'm gonna talk about it later, because that's something on my list. But you just added how we can actually do away with the two-part. I got it. I'm gonna tell you about that in a little bit. Okay, got you.
Okay.
Ooh, that's gonna be good. You got another one?
I do. Let's see. Black people would be paid.
How so?
I mean, there's, I know that there's no collective, right? Each person may want something differently. Each person may have a dollar amount that's different. For one person, land is currency, free education is currency, free. There's so many different directions in which reparations and being paid could consist of. So I think that whatever the fuck the collective wants is kind of what the collective is going to get at this point. Because it's the only way that you can even remotely try to right something so fucking wrong is by not putting a cookie cutter response to what one values versus what another values, because at the end of the day it's just owed, period. So whether it's, like I said, whether it's land, whether it's education, what's monetary, what's a currency to you, right? What is a currency to that particular person? If this is what currency is for you and your family, this is what will build generational wealth, this is what will change the income gap, then this is what we're gonna do. Like but I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I wrote on my list, literally, Black people would be paid, because that's absolutely necessary. I don't think that we can even remotely move forward with the country that I would run if I was president if we didn't act like that shit doesn't have to be tended to, period. Like, you can't keep skirting over that.
I got some options for that also.
Okay, I mean, as you should. Well. I mean, you would definitely be the primary candidate to have some. It would be good.
Okay, good. You got another one?
I do. White supremacists would be 86th. And I only put 86th because at first I wanted to say they should be exiled, and then I wanted to say they should be, stuck on an island somewhere, exiled, right? And then I wanted to say that, they should be, a lot of other, terrible things, right? But I also think that white supremacy is also a really big blanket. It's a huge umbrella. I think there's so many layers in which white supremacy, again, functions in this system that is created to miraculously run the way that it does, that for me, we would have to dismantle everything in order to run it the way I want to. But I think that the penalty for white supremacy, it has to be like top priority. And so as soon as I wrote this on my list today, I'm going through, my feeds, and I see a video, and I posted it on, I think, Free Thinkers and on my personal page. And it was this probably well-to-do, he was a well-to-do white man. He was like a defense, like he was part of the United States Defense or some shit. He's an older white man, probably in his 60s or some shit, in New York City, walking down the sidewalk, and there was definitely a Middle Eastern man. I don't know if he was Palestinian or, like, I don't know where he was from, but certainly the white man was accusing the man who was on the sidewalk. He was a vendor. He was it looked like he was a food vendor. Was accusing him of, supporting terrorists and calling him a terrorist. The guy definitely had his full-on native country accent, but he was like, I'm an American citizen. I have my permit. Like, he's obviously trying to make this guy go away, but he's like, I've done everything legal by the books. Like, I've got all my papers. Like, I'm not a fucking illegal immigrant. Like, blah, 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 blah. And dude is just like, with this shit-eating grin on his face, just terrorizing this fucking man who's just selling food on the sidewalk, right? And so I thought about it. I was like, if anybody would have reached out and punched this dude as he deserves to be hit in his mouth, dude would go to jail for assault. But the white dude can be an absolute terrorist and nothing happens. So for that, man, you gotta go. Like, you gotta go. You gotta go. Like, yeah, so white supremacists they gotta go. They gotta go. We can't have a good country with them here. We just can't.
Nah, son, you out of here.
You gotta go.
Oh shoot. Okay. You got another one?
I do. Weed would not be illegal. Weed would definitely not. Weed and mushrooms would not be illegal. They are literally plants. Literally. However, I did put alcohol is up for debate.
Weed would not be illegal. Okay.
Weed would not be illegal. Weed and mushrooms would not be illegal. But alcohol would be up for debate. Alcohol is literally poison. Alcohol has done 1,000,000 times more damage to people, families, society, culture, health, just this world than any other fucking poisonous substance out there. So alcohol would be on the table up for discussion, but weed and mushrooms would be legal.
Okay, I got something along those lines too.
Okay.
So President Davy gonna pull back on drugs. She kicking out all the white supremacists. We're gonna people who want to homeschool will be get funding so that they can help educate their children. Black people gonna get some form of reparations. And what else did I miss?
I think that was it. White supremacists, black folks get paid. No two-party political party.
The political party. Yeah.
The political party.
Okay. Yeah, that's good too.
And then my last one, you going to jail if you hold up the fast lane. You go to jail if you hold up the fast lane.
You're gonna have police people police over there, you in the fast lane. So like, listen, you need to have a certain type of car. If your car don't even have to get up like that, you don't even need to be on the left side. Not
even a little bit. You know what? Ivory just posted she can't find a link. And you sure right, Ivory. I don't even think I posted it today. Hold on. Let me go pull this up real quick.
And I was trying to go to the link.
You know what? I copied everything and it's in my phone. Still stuck on copy.
And it ain't going in.
Damn it. Hold on. Let me go to the free thinkers page. No, I got it right here. I am so sorry. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna use my phone.
I might go to my phone.
All right.
If it's a little better. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna get started on mine. Now, the first thing is, before we do anything, and guys, I want you guys to write this out. Think about it and write this out too, especially if you had something on your mind already. If you were president, give us some of the things that you would do, some of the laws and actions, amendments that you would put in place when you became president. What measures would you use to make this society a better place? So I'm telling you right off the bat, before anything, this is what I'm going to do first. Day one, President Tyus, this is what he's going to do. I am going to put together a committee. Say this again. I'm going to put together a committee. And this committee, their job is designed to go through and weed out all archaic and outdated laws. So this committee that I bring forth, their only job is to go through laws with a fine-tooth comb, find out things if they're outdated, if they're archaic and they shouldn't be on the books. Let's get them out of there. And the reason I say that is because a lot of you don't know, there's a lot of, even if the laws are not being people are not pushing the laws, there's a lot of laws that's on the books that we don't even know about. Like, do you know in some states there's still laws on the books that makes interracial dating and marriage illegal?
Is it still right now?
Yes.
And the minute I log in,
from what I've heard, they're in certain states.
I hear echo.
The second I log in, it turns into
like every time I talk,
and I hear myself talking.
Let me see.
I don't know what that's about. But yes, there's another one that I heard. I don't know if this is true or not, but stuff like this is. There was a person that I used to know, and she would sell sell sex toys. And she told me, she said, in certain states, it's illegal to carry sex toys in your vehicle, like to transport sex toys. It's actually illegal, and it's punishable by either some type of fine or imprisonment or something like that. Like crazy stuff.
I remember that years ago. I've had a couple friends, girlfriends over the years who.
So every time I hear myself.
See, and I only have my phone on my. There's not a single device on except my phone. And if I end it, then it'll cancel the whole stinking thing.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Do you hear the like repeating of my voice?
See, I don't hear it at all on my side, so it's got to be me.
It's crazy. You might be plugged in twice. Like check, make sure you're not logged in twice.
My laptop's closed. Let me check.
Sound like you might be logged in twice.
No, there's nothing on my laptop. There's nothing on my phone.
What about when I talk? Yeah, me too.
No, see, you sound fine to me too. What the heck? Okay, let me see. It's me.
No, but I can hear. Yeah, I can hear her. It let me know how slow my lag is.
Yeah, and then when she just went down, it stopped.
Yeah, so once you mute, then it goes slow. You might be accidentally logged in twice and may not know it.
And it wasn't happening.
So Ivory, the first thing I said I would do. Yeah.
I heard you. You said get rid of all the laws on the books.
But I'm going to do a committee. Yes, I'm going to have a committee whose only job is designed to go through and find those old, outdated laws, so we can get them kicked out. They don't need to be anywhere in there. It doesn't need to be anyone who can try to enforce these laws, even though that they're typically not enforceable. You just don't want those in there. So that's the first thing I would do. Now, so that's going to be in motion. It's going to be in motion, just nonstop all around. They're going to go in there and they're going to figure this stuff out. Now, some other stuff I'm going to do. Let's get to the basics. I already told y'all about the alphabet. I'm going to get rid of certain letters in the alphabet because they're not needed. C is out of there. Ain't no need for no C and a couple other letters. We're going to get that out. And then also I'm going to use my committee to re-spell words that don't make sense. Yes, I know they have different origins from them, whether they, depending on where they come from, then it's that's why the word is spelled the way it is. Get rid of that. We don't need that type of confusion. And we don't want to teach our children to go along with stuff just because they tell you to. Now, one of the things I'm going to do on a small note, I'm getting rid of all dimes, nickels, and pennies.
Oh, that's right. I forgot your small money thing.
When was the last time you needed a dime, nickel, or penny?
I mean, I have a vending machine.
Eventually, we might get rid of quarters, but I'm going to start at. Quarters are the smallest piece of cash that you can have. Dimes, nickels, pennies, nothing is necessary about it. What can you buy for a dime? Can you buy anything for a dime?
No, you can't buy much for a dime.
What is it that costs less than a quarter? All right, so we're gonna get rid of that. Let's get the stupid stuff out the way. No more dimes, nickels, pennies. That's out the way. Now, in addition to that, that's one of my side notes. I should bring this up higher. It is going to where's my stuff? It is where did I? Oh, I'm going to force all businesses to hash option.
To what option?
If you are a business, you will have a cash option.
Oh,
a cash option. All this, we going cashless and we not using cash no more. Nah, that's over, son. There will always, if you are a business in our country, there will be a cash option.
Right.
Otherwise, you can't be listed as a business.
Just not no pennies, nickels, and dimes.
I got a lot more. Either you want to jump in, or you want. Either you want to jump in with one, or you want me to keep going.
Well, yeah, I'll just do a really simple one. I would just completely overhaul the education system. Complete overhaul. Like drastically where people would hate me.
Okay. That's one that I had too.
So
that's something that Nikki was
schools
talking
would
about,
get
as far as she would
equal
have
funding no matter what.
mothers who homeschool their children be able to get paid for it.
Well, for me, it would be probably start with the public school system,
I like that.
where it would no longer be based on the taxes of the community. All schools will have to get equal funding.
Yes.
So it just have to be like just federally allocated funds
agree
for
with
each
that.
school. You don't get to have poor schools and rich schools.
Yep.
So yeah.
And what I would do is as the government, we are equally allocating all of our funds. We're dispersing it out equally. Now, in your community, if your community elects to raise more money in order to, get that big football stadium that you want or whatever, that's your prerogative if you want to add more money. But from the government standpoint, we make sure we give the adequate amount and we give the same amount to each and every school, no matter, like you said, whatever the tax is, the income level of that location. I'm with that. Now I'm gonna take it a step further. You want to add anything else to that, Ivory?
Reparations, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, before we go back to that, I'm going to reset the teacher pay scale. We're going to get the base pay scale up to speed to where teachers can comfortably live off of their salary. And then I would set a standard 5% increase each year on their pay. So that way, every 5 years, your salary is going up with the cost of living, and in 20 years, then your salary will have doubled. If you add 5% every year in 20 years, then your salary will double. So that just keeps teachers on pace. Now, this is another one. I like this one. I forgot I wrote this. Federally, as the government, as president, we will create concessions for high demand or high demand jobs. And what that means is any job that we deem is in high demand, like the country is short on IT support people. Number one, we will the government will pay classes available in high school. So if the country is short on nurses, they're short on teachers, they're short on IT, whatever it is at that time, we're going to put something in place to where we will teach these skills for these needed positions going forward, not only in high school, but also make free college classes for that as well. So there will be free college available for high demand, high needed occupations and positions. So that way we keep our government balanced. We keep our society balanced. We give incentive for areas that we ourselves need. So if nobody wants to be like pilots anymore, okay, we're going to give you free schooling to go be a pilot. We're going to allow you to start taking classes in high school to be a pilot. This is something that our country needs. We're short supplied on these things. So we're going to we're going to incentivize you being able to get the knowledge and the skills to be able to run these occupations and fill it up. And maybe 10 years from now, then maybe there won't be a shortage on pilots anymore. It may be shortage on something else, and we'll give concessions for you to be fully educated in those areas to help fill up those areas of need. So that's what I would do from the school perspective. Anybody want to add to or got a response to that?
No, Stephanie had posted in the comments. Stephanie posted in the comments, no more school taxes once your kids are out of school. And I don't know, because
yeah, that don't work.
Like, that ain't
does it only benefit our does our money only benefit our children when they're there? That almost is like,
it don't work like that.
And I get it 100%, right? Like, so many people who haven't had kids in school for 20, 30 years are like, why the fuck am I paying school taxes? But when you have high tax rates in your county or in your area, like, it reflects a lot of different fucking things, good and bad.
Yeah.
But maybe there should be a reduction once your kids are out of school. You should have like a reduced rate for school taxes, because some of those school taxes are high as shit depending on where you live.
That's not a bad idea.
A discounted rate? She said no.
Not a bad idea. You could have reduced taxes if you don't have children.
My only kind of overall.
I got all them kids, and she want everybody to chip in.
It's not that, because I waited a long time to have kids, so I paid taxes. So I'm gonna be paying taxes on the front end and the back end without them.
Right.
But these societies that value education would never talk like this about education. Like, Americans are so self-centered. Like, we ain't even thinking about the future no more. The kids is the future.
Yeah.
The future
it helps society as a whole.
It's your country as a whole, your legacy. Like, you can't be like, well, my kids out of school, I don't care what happened to the rest of these kids.
So that was like my first initial reaction. I was like, wait a minute, so it's only beneficial when my kids are there?
But I agree, Nikki.
To homeschool and raise my children too, so there's that. What happened?
What if we had options to where you got to choose? You're gonna have to pay these taxes one way or another, but we will allow you where you want these taxes to be allocated towards. So maybe you don't want it towards school, since you ain't got no kids in school. Maybe you want it towards roads and highways. Maybe you want it towards higher education. Like,
but wouldn't that be the same thing?
Give people 5 or 6 options where their tax dollars will go to.
But that could still turn into the school receiving less.
You're going to have to pay taxes. But sometimes I get what Stephanie's saying. Some people's like, why am I giving to this? And like, do you have to always give to something that you have no real interest in? Give me the opportunity to
have interest give to what I have an interest in. The children of this country, you need to care.
You don't need
trying to get, but trying to get people to care
needs to, but the individual may.
Well, and I'm saying, as a government, you have to tell people what to care about, because they won't care about the right thing.
You a dictator type president. Got to tell people what they need to care about. That don't even sound right.
Well, but it kind of goes.
You don't know no better, so I got to tell you what you need to care about.
I don't care how I sound. Something wrong with these people.
I don't know. I just feel like your taxes reflect the community in which you live, right? And if you want to continue to have maybe a nicer community or a safer community, or we go back to Ivory, a well-educated community. Our children have a better education, quality access to, quality programs in a school. So if we're going to go with, we've changed what the school is going to look like versus what it looks like today, then I can jump on board with a better a better quality of what an education system looks like. Because right now, I don't care about the education system. I want my kids to be homeschooled. I want all kids to stay home with their mothers and learn the things that they need to learn, growing and foraging and fucking survival skills, and with true history, and history being presented to you in a way where it's age appropriate, or just so many ways that education needs to be changed for me to even support pumping a bunch of money into it, because I could never pump money into it today the way that our system is set up. But if we were able to create something that mirrored something that we do support, then yes, the dollars have to be there, because people aren't going to volunteer. People don't volunteer now as is, and I say volunteer, but where you're going to divvy up your money to go, you may want to put your money in road and bridge because you think the roads are horrible and we need new bridges and we need blah, blah, blah. Or you may think that, the money needs to go to fucking landscaping the community or something. Like, I don't think that's really important. Put some rocks on that shit. Throw a garden over there as far as I'm concerned. So I think that choosing where your taxes go sounds like a great idea, but I think that unfortunately it's not going to go where I think maybe the masses would want it to go. I feel like
Nikki and Ivory, let's get down to the philosophy of this thing from just a right thing to do standpoint. There's certain things have to be in place, but for the right thing to do, a person should have more of a say so what they're doing with what they want to do with their money. See, it's to the place where taxes, we have no say so about taxes at all. You don't get to choose if you're going to pay them or not. And then, okay, if number one, if I got to pay them, can I at least decide where I want them to be allocated to? And it can't just be anywhere, to mushroom research, but give people 5 or 10 different options to say, where do you want your tax dollars allocated to? And I think you get a better response out of people. I think people will feel like they have a little bit more freedom of choice when it comes to that. And I think it works. And based off of that, go ahead.
This is my pushback. I think those things are easy when you live in a more homogeneous society. But in our context,
homogeneous. So what that mean? Say that homogeneous.
So like a China or a Russia, a place where everybody
same what?
Yeah, same culture, race.
Okay.
In homogeneous societies, they normally are very caring about what happens to all of them. And so it's easy to say, well, what do you like to see to happen for all of us? Because when they see each other, they see themselves, they see their children, so they make better choices normally about what should happen with their countries as a whole. In our society, you give people choices about what to do with their tax money for schools or whatever. And, people say, well, I'm sending my kid to private school anyway. I don't want to pay no taxes for these others going to public school, because everything's about the others. And so it makes it hard to give people choices in this country, because people always choose to be divided and use their money for their own little corner, which leaves a lot of other people who have historically been left out.
You thinking about it backwards, forever. Ivory.
Okay.
You thinking about it backwards, Ivory. And the reason I'm saying that is, if we made the type of schools that were attractive to those who are putting their kids in private school, people wouldn't be so quick to want to put their kids in alternative and private schools and whatever Montessori. I don't know exactly what type of schools they're doing, but make your public schools top of the line to where this becomes the standard that I want my child to be. And then it comes, if the public school is just as good as this private school, why am I going to pay a couple $1,000s a month to send them to this school when
and how do you propose to do that without old people?
But you're thinking about it with the mindset of how school system is set today.
So that's what I've had to get out of, is trying to think about how to implement my rules in my world.
That's when you're not thinking about the budget though. Because you're like, oh, we're going to create these top-of-the-line schools that everybody want to go to. It takes old people's money to do that. And if you give old people a choice about what to do with their money, you will never have those schools.
So Ivory, no. But what I'm saying is, so just because we pay a school tax, the school tax ain't the only tax that we pay. We still pay income tax, and we still pay a dozen different taxes that goes a lot of different ways. Those other taxes can still help supplement what we need for public schools. If there's a lack that's missing, then that just means that the government needs to make sure that we're funneling or allocating that money in the direction that it needs to go.
Ain't that what the rainy day fund was? That bullshit.
But it's still, regardless of that money, still gonna get there.
You talking about
what was?
You said I was the dictator. You gonna be one of them disingenuous politicians, the type that tell you get to pick where your money go and then put it where they want it after
disingenuous.
They told you they would.
So?
Oh, well, if we don't have what we need, we'll just take it from somewhere else.
No, I'm just saying, and when you're talking about auxiliary taxes, you let people choose auxiliary taxes where they want to put them. Give them options of that. But still, income tax and other taxes like that, they still gonna go where they need to go, and they're still gonna go to the government, and the government is gonna spread out certain portions of tax. But certain auxiliary taxes, then we'll let you choose. Just like you, Ivory, you a church person.
Plan needs some
tithes and offerings. That's gonna go. You know, tithes and offerings is gonna go a certain. They're gonna go wherever the board members decide they want that money to go. But then you have special allocations, and you got the little box. I want this to go to the Pastors Appreciation Fund. I want this to go to the New Building Fund. I want this to go to the Homeless Fund. I want this to go to the missionary service that we're doing in South America. And then there's certain money that you give that is allocated to a specific direction, but that don't mean all of it is.
So let people choose whether or not they want to give the school taxes and see how it goes.
I think it's worth. Everything don't have to be in stone, but I think, let me say, on a baseline, I think you giving people more options with that which is theirs, I think that will have a positive outcome in the long run. People already have this pushback mindset because we're taking something from them that is theirs, and we don't give them a choice. Just on a baseline, I don't think that's a good idea. So that's that with education. I would do away with capital punishment. Period. I don't. Again, on a baseline, a couple things. Number one, on a baseline, it doesn't deter crime. And even deeper than that, then you should look into what does this say about our society when we are willing to show examples of, oh, it's okay to kill. Like, do you understand you are, whether you're trying to or not, then you are giving people the green light to say it's okay to kill if the occasion calls for it. And maybe that is true, but
I don't disagree with that sentiment.
Shouldn't encourage that mindset.
No disagreement here at all.
Me either, Nikki.
Yeah, some shit is just not rehabilitative. It just ain't. Some shit you just take therapy away. You gotta go.
So what? Hold on, but what is it in our society? It's usually almost. And tell me if it's something different. Under the terms of self-defense or protection, we give concession for you to take out somebody else. But usually in no other instance do we give people a pass or say that that's okay.
And in no other instances is it really okay.
Even with
there are no real other instances where it's okay to take somebody out. But in self-defense, absolutely.
So where do we come up with capital punishment? We do that to make ourselves feel better. Capital punishment is not self-defense, though.
No, it is a consequence. It's a consequence. It's a consequence of a behavior that was it was of at most, human, vile, you know, like for me, capital punishment has to be, you have to have irrefutable evidence that a person is guilty of, let's say, a murder. You know, because we've had the conversation about the death sentence for rapists and pedophiles, because, you know, there's a state that just like, I think it was in New York or Florida, somewhere. I think it was Florida, just legalized death penalty for sex offenses, for convictions of sex offenses. Yes, ma'am. Yes, they just fucking legalized a death penalty for some sex offenses, right? Sex offenses. And so we talked about this a couple months ago, with the understanding that oftentimes many
Louisiana,
predators
that was in
were
Louisiana
also,
at one point in time too.
that most predators were victims as children. You know, so we talked about this before. How far back do we go? That yes, the adult predator who may be preying and raping children needs to be held, you know, responsible for the act that at which they did, but they were also, more times than not, also a child victim of some type of sex offense when they were little too. So oftentimes the, you know, the predator, the prey becomes predator as they age, right? So do we go back and we kill them too? Like, I mean, so I get where there's got to be like a defining line when it comes to something like that. But for me, when it comes to like murder and it's provable, no, you gotta go. And I also think that it needs to be swift. We ain't not finna do this 10 years. No, it sets the fucking path and the tone that if you are guilty and there is irrefutable evidence, as soon as this court date's over, we finna take you out back. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It is a fucking wrap. And does that mean it may be a deterrent? I bet you there'll be some shit that stops, because you know I'm not gonna go sit in penitentiary for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I can't still run illegal activity from inside the penitentiary and da 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 da. Like, no, if you know you're gonna die when court is over for murder, you know, murdering somebody else, I feel like that would definitely be a deterrent. But other than that, there's not many other situations that I would support capital punishment. I would love to say I support it for pedophiles, but the fucking therapeutic part of me knows that pedophiles were usually preyed upon when they were children too. So we have to fix whatever the fuck that is. But I would not take capital punishment totally off the table.
I wouldn't either. You know what? Sometimes
don't stop people from killing each other though. When you kill somebody, then capital punishment is put on there.
Stop some people from killing people, but not all people, of course. But it will stop some.
Right. I believe that too.
But I always say this, and I just have a weird way of thinking about this. And I know, okay, it's like civilized society. We have all of these things now, and we build these huge prisons and all of this. But I always say, if the lights went out tomorrow, all of our electronics and stuff broke down, and we discovered somebody that walks amongst us should not walk amongst the rest of us. Like, you don't have something simple we could rehabilitate, we can't talk through it, there's not a little timeout we could give you, you would be put down. You would not just be allowed to.
She said put down.
You would be put down.
Finna get euthanized.
I agree with you, Nikki, that I think our current system of letting people sit on death row so long is just, it doesn't make sense, because a part of the benefit of like knowing somebody never needs to walk amongst the rest of us is to cut the cost of them on us. So you let them sit on death row for 10 years and then you have this really expensive execution, you've kind of defeated some of the point. Where if you just went ahead and said, okay, you've been convicted, 3 months from now, when everything's set up, that's it, it's over. But yeah, I don't have any problem with capital punishment. Again, I will go back to my earlier statement about schools. This is my gripe with a lot of things in this country. With us not being a homogeneous country, there is always so much room for error in how we view, treat, and dispense our punishments. That is my biggest issue with capital punishment. It's just that we don't all see each other as humans, deserving of the same things, the same investigations, the same, evidence, the same whatever. So That's a major issue I have with capital punishment. But if it wasn't for that, I'd be totally
so
okay with
for
it.
that reason, you should not want to have capital punishment on the
Yeah,
books.
no,
Our society
that's
is
one of
not
my
fair
issues.
enough for you to our society ain't fair enough for there to be capital punishment. Like we are not good enough judges of the law and of righteousness and fairness itself to even decide who should live or die. We too crooked in our interpretation of the law.
But if this is our new world, because we are now the president.
This is my new world. I'm the president.
So if we created this different place in which we live, then we may have a homogeneous community. You know what I'm saying? We may think about each other in different ways. And that's kind of, I think, what you were saying, Q, to Ivory, is like, I like trying to answer some of these questions is really hard because we're answering them within the space that we're in today, in the world in which we live today. And like what we would change probably is not going to run parallel very well with today's society and runnings of today's society. So we have to totally dismantle this shit. And like the movie the TV show Designated Survivor, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I remember catching it on TV years ago when it first came out. And the first episode and the second episode just blew my ever-loving mind, that they literally had to blow every fucking thing up and kill everybody to start over. And I was like, that would work. That would work. And as horrible as that sounds, right? Like, I get the concept. Like, we literally have to burn this bitch down to start over and even have the type of place that we would call home, to be able to enact some of these changes that we would want to change, to have the communities in which we would want to live in. But like, our ideals probably do not run very well with today's runnings. And that's all we know is like how it's ran today. So we have to, I feel like the changes that we will want to make might work in this other world that we would like to create, as opposed to where we are today. But man, we got a long way to go. And I'm sad because I know it's probably never going to happen.
It'll work. Just put me in office. It'll work. Okay, so statute of limitation on all crimes except murder. There will be a statute of limitation on all crimes with the exception of murder. Now, it doesn't mean that the statute is going to be uniform for each crime.
Right. I would hope not.
No. For instance, if someone was molested as a child, chances are they were not equipped to report or to file a report or to make an accusation at that time, depending on when it was. But when they became of age and they said they want to, okay, so the statute of limitations could be 20 years in an instance like that. In other instances, there could be a statute that's longer or shorter, but with the exception of murder, everything is going to have limitations on it. Like, yeah, I know it was messed up, it was traumatic, but you got a certain amount of time. You have a certain amount of time, and I've said this before, you have a certain amount of time where you can charge a person criminally. Outside of that, if it goes past the statute of limitation. Say what?
Ain't a lot of things like that now.
A lot of them are, but not everything. So there's other things now. You can charge someone civilly. Maybe the civil limitation. I don't even know about that. Some stuff was gonna have limitations criminally and civilly. So that have to be changed, because everything I can't, especially with things that affect, like, how well do you remember a situation that may have happened? Like, how in how good of detail can you describe something that happened 17 years ago? It's just it's real slippery, and that's just something that's like, well, that time that passed. And if this person is who they're accused of being, that means they'll have done it again. They'll be slipped up again, and they've done something to where that in the time frame of what you want to convict them, they'll be able to be convicted, but just nothing else 30 years old.
I don't support that. That shit would be flying in my place, not in my country. No,
of course not. I ain't expect to.
It's going to be statute of limitations for some things, absolutely. But to your point, Ivory, yes, most things do have a statute of limitations. Hell, even the courts have to charge you after a certain period of time. If they don't have charges brought against you by a certain window of time, you have to dismiss the charges. So, so yes, you can't drag your in a case where some situations, no, you can't drag your feet. If they're looking for evidence like a gun or a crime may have committed, and they're trying to pull surveillance tapes and find more witnesses and woo, that that may be a different story, because we obviously see how there's massive abuse of power in the criminal justice system, at least the current criminal justice system, not my criminal justice system that I'm going to build right when it's my turn. But the current criminal justice system, that there has to be, there of course there's statute of limitations, but I think that when it comes to offenses of traumatic experiences, not one single person on this planet can quantify what another person's trauma is to decide when it's time when it should have expired. And I realize that leaves a very broad window on the table open, but that's what happens when you behave in ways in which you violate another person. That shit may come back on you when you're 50 years old. That shit may come back on you when you're 70 years old. That shit may come back on you immediately, but not one single person can tell another person when their trauma should expire.
Nope. I can't tell you when the trauma should expire. I'm just telling you when it expires for you to be able to make an accusation against another person. That
basically is saying that that's when my trauma expires. That means that's when my trauma expires.
I don't think it should. But then the other part of this is also, you don't want to just do one thing and then say, oh, well, you got a certain amount of time, better figure it out. You also want to create avenues and create an environment where people feel more comfortable that their complaint or their however they were victimized, that it will be heard, and it will. Part of the reason people are waiting is because they're not being heard. If they're not being heard and nothing's being done and it's not being taken serious, then that could be just as big of a problem with the delay of time that it takes for someone to build that up. If we create an environment where your words are taken in and accepted, then
absolutely fair.
In a lot of instances, that will shorten up some of those longer periods of time where people make those complaints. But you just got to create a different atmosphere. I'll say, all drug usage will be non-prisonable offenses. Can you hear me?
Yep. And I agree 1 million, 1,000, billion, trillion, gazillion times with that. Absolutely. Drug use, drug addiction, alcohol use, alcohol addiction should not be a criminal fucking offense.
No. Now, with that in mind, you are responsible for your actions while you're under the influence.
Absolutely. 100%.
So just because you're not going to get convicted for using the drugs, but if you go psychotic and you assault someone in the process, you will be charged for assault.
Of course.
So now you just have to all right, use intelligence on how and where you decide to partake in those drugs, because the consequences but the consequences will be based off your action, not based off of what you decide to put into your body.
Right.
Now, on the flip side,
you mean like different penalties for, like, if a person were to have weed versus if a person were to have like cocaine, there would be different penalties for you. Talking about something like that?
Well, no, I'm just saying if you punch somebody, regardless if you high off of cocaine or weed, then you're going to, if you get charged with assault, you just get charged with assault. You being high is not an excuse for,
Well, yeah, they call that intoxication assault now. So that's what the law states as of today. So absolutely.
Now, let me say on the flip side, all illegal drug distribution will have prison maximums. Meaning, if we decide to convict people for distributing illicit or illegal drugs, I'd impose a maybe 5 years and maybe 10 years max, but people getting 30 years for drug distribution, that's crazy to me. You have to have a max. If you received a max, then your max, if I set the max at 5 years, no drug distribution offense is going to surpass that 5 or that 10 years.
Right.
But all that 20 years, like you putting people on drug stuff. Say what?
You wouldn't completely just make drugs not illegal?
No, because some of this stuff dangerous. Like some of these people pushing fentanyl and bad mollies and some of this stuff like that.
Then synthetic stuff that's killing people. I'm just talking about.
Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think different things will have different drugs gonna have different offenses attached to it. But yeah, there's still gonna be a maximum. You ain't giving nobody 95 years on some, selling drugs. That stuff is over with. I ain't doing that. Oh, now this is interesting. All appointed judges must spend 30 days in prison. He's laughing at that.
That's really mean. I understand what you're trying to say. I would say maybe a week, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
No,
I don't think it's fair to take a month of somebody. People have children and lives. If they haven't actually done anything wrong, I would take a month of theirs away from their children and lives. But I would say a week. I think a week would be good. Just like officers need to get tased. I'm with you.
Oh,
they should spend a week in jail.
And that's another one. Even with police officers, I would put police officers on a rotating system, to where if you are if you're in a high, if your occupation of police officer is in the area of high violence, you can only practice for 75% of the year.
Okay.
So if you're a homicide detective or you do certain things like that, and it's always domestic violence disputes, and it's like you get 9 months out of the year, you're gonna be on the beat, and then other three months out of that year, you're going back on desk duty, and you need to clear yourself away from that environment and kind of replenish yourself. I think a lot of these police officers get burned out, and they end up being worse than the people that they're dealing with, because they're not getting outlets. You need time off. You need time off and time away from constant violence and negative behavior.
Yeah, and one thing I would do too is I think police officers need customer service surveys. They count towards their metrics.
That ain't. I don't know how fair it is. If somebody get pulled over,
No, they need customer service surveys. So
yeah, I'd still do it anyway though.
Here's your ticket, and you're going to be getting a survey about our interaction today and whether I treated you fairly. Not whether you happy, but it's gonna come to you in about a week. So you're gonna have a little time to calm down. And you're going to get a customer service survey about whether this interaction was a fair interaction. I ain't gonna say they gotta pass a 90%, but you should 60 something. It shouldn't be every single person.
Yeah.
And give people a place to leave comments and stuff. So leadership and people can actually have documented information about what you out here in the streets taking people through. Because what happens with the police is, okay, even let's say you wasn't gonna make it about their money or whatever, but people gonna get this survey, and then regular people could pull it, reporters could pull it. We could just have a better picture of how people think and feel about their interactions with the police. Because now it's just us telling each other about this crazy stuff. Where is it? Where is it documented?
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Long as the grading scale is takes in
No, I
consideration
get
that,
it.
you know.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm saying, but
Um,
tons of people who do things, even uncomfortable things, have to get rated by the people they do it with. And so I think they should get a rating system too. If you give out a ticket, if you have an interaction with somebody, they gonna get a survey on you.
so Nikki, I don't know if you heard before you left. One of the
I
things I
didn't.
said is all appointed judges must spend 30 days in prison.
Hell yeah.
Y'all are mean.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Okay, and I have to think about our world, not current world. um, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely think so. I think that yeah, I fucking wish that would happen now, but I definitely do. And I think that if even even a small number of officials had to do 30 days of jail time long enough, like enough times, our criminal justice system would also then just by default be overhauled. It would have to, because they would see just how absolutely corrupt it is from the the
Right.
foundation level on up. Like there's no way that they could continue supporting the inhumane
But
things
you
that they
can't
do.
just see it, you gotta feel it and experience it. That's why
And
seeing
30
it
days
ain't
is a
enough.
long time. Look, you got to go to
Yeah.
rehab for 30 days to get them drugs out your system. Go ahead and go to prison for 30 days and get that no free life in your
Yeah.
system.
So before you get heavy-handed throwing out all these sentences, then you have a point of reference to think about
Yeah,
what that really
yeah,
is.
that's a great idea.
Um. Oh, this is a small one. Ooh, I know what that. Improve street light technology. There's no reason for me to be sitting at a red light for 60 seconds while ain't no cars going by the other way, ain't no nothing on the other side. It's 11:30 at night and I'm just sitting at this red light. Like, we got the technology that can realize no car here, no car here, no car there. Car here, oh, let's turn the light green. Go.
Right.
Like, why would that's simple stuff.
But then it jacks up the sequence of all the other lights that are set up on timers and blah blah blah. Like my dad always told me. My dad always said, if you
You
just
mean to tell
roll
me
over
in
the
the age
sensor
of
at the
AI,
front.
they can't fix that. AI, and it ain't that much traffic going on, especially at night or in times where you sitting by yourself at a red light. Like, let the light turn green, it can turn back red and get back to its normal schedule.
Or why don't they just be flashing red lights after a certain hour? I love the flashing red light thing because it gives you the option to go if you
Yeah,
want to, and it definitely tells you to stop whenever you clearly don't need to be going.
that's true too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that needs to. So, ooh, okay.
You had a traffic vent too. I had my traffic vent was if you're in the fast lane and you hog the lane and you don't move over, you're going to jail. Get out of the fast lane if you're not going fast.
So I think some of the last stuff I got has to do kind of in the political arena. Um, first of all, I would do away with the electoral college. That's gone out of there.
For sure.
So each vote counts as a vote. Your vote counts. Now, what someone was talking about earlier when they were talking about what? Oh, okay, yeah, they're talking about no more lobbyists, no more super PACs. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I would do. I would have a maximum contribution limit for campaigning.
Oh,
So no
sure.
matter if you're the maximum amount you can give with $100,000, whatever it is. But what you can't do, you can't pump all these millions and millions of dollars into your campaign into the place to where you own them, and now you have say so whether they get reelected. Now they owe you favors, and now the person who's supposed to be a representative of the people is now a representative of this large corporation that paid to get them in office. But if you minimize how much a person can actually contribute to it, you lessen the ability and the power of these large corporations to have that type of stronghold on a person.
Well, it keeps it a
And
fair. I think it keeps it a fair playing field too.
Oh no, I'm not finished. So the fair playing field, there will be a maximum collection limit. So once you max out, whatever that amount is, at I don't know, say
Oh
what,
wow. Okay. You
say
think you know
50
the
million.
way?
Yes, because you do you know that like 90% of every presidential election who wins, whoever raises the most money, 95% of the time they win the election.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we got to do away with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
if you
yeah, it's
make it an
corporate
even
fucking
playing field,
sponsors.
you make whatever it is, 25 million in campaign, this and this, and that's max. That's what everybody got the same amount that you can actually spend during a campaign. You taking out all the large corporations, pumping all this extra money and influence and say so into your speech and your agenda, and everybody got the same amount of money they can work with. Now, now we're getting back to what we were talking about earlier, Nikki. That's one of the ways you're able to do away with this two-party system, because now other parties will be able to compete. Oh, the maximum is 25 million, we can, or 50 million, whatever the case is. That's the maximum. Oh, well, yeah, we can raise that too. Now you'll have other parties sprouting up who are going to have the same chance, the same playing field, the same type of campaign money that they can push out there for commercials just like everybody else. That breaks down that two-party system.
Sure.
Boom.
Sure.
And now we good to go. Oh, term limits on senators and representatives.
Absolutely.
They're not gonna be in office for 40 and 50 years.
No.
Which is crazy.
That's how you know this system is designed to fuck you over. When they literally are like, you can be here forever. We don't care. You can be here forever. And then age
but
limits too.
That's how it was designed. The only thing that changed it was George Washington just set a different precedent to where he just said, I won't stay in office for perpetuity. And then I forgot who it was. It was another president. Like it was a precedent set to where they wouldn't go past 2 terms before they actually put it in office. But before it was actually a rule, it was a president that just set the precedent, and everyone started following after that precedent even before it was a rule. That was just the thing that you did. I can't remember which precedent it was though.
Okay.
But yeah, so though that's how you kind of redo the stuff. And now, okay, this is the last part I got for this session, and then I'm done. Okay, we got electoral conference. That. Now you were talking about reparations, Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I would present reparations. At least one of the ways. I would present reparations in the form of federally funded cities. Now, what I mean by that, let's say, for instance, we take 2 cities, one in the north, one in the south. One can be revitalized, like let's say Detroit.
Okay.
Dwindling down, jobs leaving, a big city that's halfway vacant. We can name that a federally recognized, I don't even know the word that you would put, but this is a federally recognized reparation city.
Territory? They're called territories?
I don't know about that. I don't want to change it too much. But what ultimately what happens is it'll be that city. You could revitalize a city, and you could just start a city from scratch. Say you want to do somewhere in Texas or New Mexico or some of these undeveloped lands over here, and say federally we will pump money for people. If you want a job, you can come build roads. You can make a living building roads. You can make a living building infrastructure. That's one of the ways that they boosted the economy back, I believe, in the 40s and 50s. It was either Eisenhower or the other. I think it was Eisenhower, maybe the other. But they gave federal funding for roads and different recreational parks and a lot of different federally funded things that gave thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of people jobs. And it was the tax money of all the people. But what happened was it It improved our roads, it improved our infrastructure, it improved a lot of the just day-to-day resources that we use. And it was done by federal money that was given out to people for employment. So you employing people, you fixing our country. And so anyway, what I'm saying is I'd set up a couple of cities. And this is in this reparation city, number one, 80% of all ownership has to belong to Black people. Not black, let me rephrase that. Descendants of slaves.
Right.
80%
Right.
of ownership has to be in that city. We will have you'll have certain concessions when it comes to business loans, to home loans. You'll get tax breaks and tax forgiveness, and that's that. We talk about reparations. The form of reparations is going to come in your form of either you're not going to pay taxes or your taxes going to be limited. You're going to have a higher approval rate for business loans, for different things. Like there'll be things on the plate to where, okay, we need hospitals, we need banks, we need grocery stores, we need, like, all of this stuff is going to be given to those with the skills and able to do it. Now, other people can come if they want, but the quota has to remain that 80% ownership got to be Black people. And we will also get, they're gonna have to pay, they're gonna be paying school tax, but we may get some breaks on some of that stuff. And that's a form where now people have the freedom to gain positive employment, gain housing, gain a good lifestyle while you're building up infrastructure for our country. You could do two of those. And what I would do for that, I would do it for Black people. I would do separate cities for natives to where they can build and they'll get those same breaks. I'll set up the Mexico and Asia land. And what you do, because we have so much undeveloped land, we act like we're running out of space in this country. No, we're not. There's space all over the place. We just haven't invested in developing it. And if we have those, and if nothing else, hey, if the world ain't acting right, I got a safe haven. I can move to Detroit, or I can move to New Freemansville, or whatever they call it. And there you go. Now you got your I can get a house and a job and live comfortably over here.
Right.
I love your plan, but I'm just cutting checks. But it was a very thought out plan.
She said just cut me
a check. Ivory. No, Ivory. Oh yeah, Ivory talking about cut the check. Now the other part, because people ask about the money, I said if we get out of these other countries that we ain't supposed to be in, and we spending trillions and trillions of dollars, the money is there. It ain't hard to do.
The money there, just cut the check already. I mean,
but I like your plan I'm not opposed to cutting. I'm not opposed to cutting the check either. We can still talk about cutting the check, but even when we cut the check, I want there to be some prime soil that we can actually do real investing in, that you can actually grow. Like, you want a seed to actually grow and develop versus just taking the seed and throwing it in somebody else's yard, which is what we do right now.
And all of this stuff has been allocated already before we even got a chance to be a part of the allocation. So I do get the point about some land. Is a good point.
No, so I got it. All right, so yeah, we right at 90 minutes. Anybody else got anything they want to add in there?
I don't think I had nothing else on my list. Ivory, you got anything else on your list? My brain has been, moving and moving. But honestly, like I said, it just makes me feel kind of sad, because I know that, probably the things that we all, just the three of us alone in 90 minutes collectively have come up with of ways that we can improve the place in which we call home is probably never gonna happen. And but the thought of the world of which we just talked about feels so nice. It feels like that would be a place that you would be happy to call home. Like that would be a place that you would be proud of. That would be a place that you wouldn't mind waving a fucking flag every once in a while. Like it just feels like we stand for the advancement of our people. We stand for, you know, doing right by humanity and our fucking brother and our neighbor and our sister. Like, and it just, it would be so amazing. It would be really amazing. So it's a little depressing because we are so fucking far from that today. We're so far from that. But it's amazing how so many people have, quote unquote, like the answers to some of these problems, but how virtually fucking impossible it is for any of us, even collectively, to make a fucking difference on a large scale. We literally, all we have is our home and the people that we are within immediate reach with, right? And the people that we can, you know, communicate with on a regular basis. Like, broad spectrum, I don't know, maybe that's part of why the system works so well the way it is, because it literally has one feeling, the way I just said I felt. Like, there is no way that this is going to get better. But the system, the way that it's designed right now, is not designed for it to get better. It's not designed for us to have a harmonious place and a good education system that's going to prepare these children for fantastic things as they get older, and communities that are, you know, more conducive to love and peace and, you know, it's frustrating. But you know, I will say, as I was going through this list of things that I wanted to change or things that I would change, you know, the one thing that I definitely am happy about is that a lot of these things I personally subscribe to implementing these in my own home with my own children. You know, so even though I know I can't change the world, I can damn sure hopefully plant a little tiny seed and a little baby ripple, you know, with my children and those that they of course reach or grow into, whatever it's going to be. So I liked this topic because it just makes you think about, like, man, what would I change? What would I do different? How could I do something different?
Oh, it's more to come. Watch when I.
It's a very insightful, motivating conversation. It's sad at the same time, but it's also motivating and insightful at the same time. Go figure. I'm feeling very bipolar right now, but but I like pennies, nickels, and dimes. I'm just saying, I'm keeping the pennies, nickels, and dimes.
Useless, worthless. Ivory, you got anything you want to add?
No, good conversation. You know, it was funny as like you were talking about some of your stuff, like my mind was going into all the implementation and, you know, like it would take this to implement, you know, so I really have some more appreciation for some, actually, the stuff I just kind of gripe about, because as I think through, I'm like, how would you actually do that? Like, how would that actually work? So, you know, we have big ideas, but this stuff is really, really, you know, complicated. It doesn't mean it's not like worthy.
Right.
What was I gonna say also? One of the things I would do, me and my husband, we listened to a podcast about the school system. And something the government does all the time is they see a problem and they say, we're going to do a study, or we're going to put together a research group, which means we're not going to do anything.
But we're going to spend money doing it. A lot of money.
A lot of money researching the problem that's probably been researched 10 times over the last 50 years.
Right.
So, as president, I would make them pull out every time they did a research project, and we gonna figure out which one of these we going with. No, don't tell me we're gonna do another research project. Go find the last research project that you did on reparations. Right. And we're gonna follow the recommendation from that one. Oh no, we're not doing another study on schools. Go find the last research one. Pull that out. We're not wasting no more time on studies. So yes, I'm tired of people talking about the new committee they putting together to research.
It's just another way to, like, it's just a stall tactic. It's like an insurance company, whatever they can do to deny. Like, this is what they do. So crummy.
So guys, when you think of something, make sure that you put down what you would do in the comment section. We like to hear some of your opinions and your free thinking mindset as well. Let us know what you got on there. But outside of that, have a great Thanksgiving, and do something with somebody if you can. And if you can't, then reach out to somebody or anybody. People are they're pretty thoughtful around this time. And if you don't have any place to go, then put it out there, and more than likely somebody will invite you and say, "Hey, come spend the evening with us." And if you ain't got nobody, hit me up. Hit me up in DM. You can come hang out at my house and eat something. But I think that's all I got. Until next week, then yeah, that's all. All right, have a good night, y'all.
Good night, y'all. Happy Friendsgiving.